Okay, so we are going to make a start, and what we want to talk about at the beginning is just an introduction to getting to know you, where you started from, what you are doing now, how you got there, where you studied, the challenges, like just a brief introduction as much as possible. So, Shubomi, please fire on.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Toyyib, for this opportunity. Mr. Toyyib actually is someone that I've been looking forward to meet for a very long time. And I thank God that through this platform I'm able to meet you. Thank you everyone for being present here today. My name is Shubomi Adekoya. I'm a quantity surveyor. Over the years, this is something I've been doing for almost 10 years now. It's been a journey. I started my career from Yaba College of Technology, where I did my ordinary national diploma and higher national diploma in quantity surveying. I actually live all my life in Fadi. I don't know if anyone knew that. Fadi, that was where I grew up.
So you have to clarify, because Fadeyi this side and Fadeyi other side, they are always fighting. So I'm from Mushin, so I know which Fadeyi are you on? Are you on the J Pron side or which one? You're on the J Pron side. Okay, no problem.
So I live in Fadi. I stayed there for many years. I stayed there up to the time I came to the UK. I did my primary school in Fadi Primary School. I went to Jibo Junior High School. From there, I went to Yaba College of Technology, where I did both my ordinary national diploma and higher national diploma. At some point when I used to dream working in a very big organization like Shell. At some point when I wanted to gain entrance into such an organization, I had a lot of setback in terms of acceptance. So I decided that later that okay, since they were unable to accept me due to the fact that I had HND, let me proceed further. So I went to Wales University of Technology to have my degree, and from there I came here to do my master's in the University of Portsmouth. I had all HND, OND, Bachelor in Quantity Surveying. My master's is construction project management, and I'm working as a quantity surveyor now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that explanation. And one thing that comes from your story just now, and we'll see that with Egbe Omorodion as well, like they are both very senior in the industry. If I have any issue, I'll contact Oga Egbe first to say, please, because he has a quantity surveying background, and then he's now doing much more arbitration and contracts. But you see something in both their careers that we normally have this issue where they say, if you have OND, you are not able to do this, or if you have HND, you are not able to do this. You see that trajectory in them of not stopping at that level, even though they've had things on the way. Dr. Deji is an engineer by training that now works in data. So please tell us your journey.
Thank you very much. I was going to say I'm here to learn, actually. Interestingly, I also went to Yaba Tech at some point. Did my ND, National Diploma at Yaba Tech, mechanical engineering. Interestingly, I lived in Ojolegba, so if there's anybody from Ojolegba here. Okay, so really,
they know your story.
We know ourselves, yeah. We know ourselves. So we might be talking very gently now, it's because we're in the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I studied mechanical engineering, national diploma at Yaba Tech, but I did systems engineering at the University of Lagos, where I got interested in artificial intelligence and robotics, especially in robotics area. So came to Sheffield, University of Sheffield, to do my master's in automatic control and systems engineering, again, continuing within the robotics field. Did a PhD. It was when I went into PhD that I realized maybe I was more interested in the brain of the robots rather than the physical systems of the robot. So basically how the machines think and make decisions. And I guess that's where I delved and moved into data. So I did some work around that area. So right now I'm more into the AI / engineering space. So I'll be learning a lot from the next panel, the Sadiq and co. But I still do a lot of work around AI and engineering. So my background has helped me a lot in that sense, because when it comes to robotics, I can contribute. I work in consulting, so what that means is that my clients change every day. So one day I can be working in data science and AI. Another day, if there's a robotics problem, I can also contribute. So my background has really helped in that area.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Deji. In your speech, you used the word delve. And you know delve has been causing a lot of problems with ChatGPT.
Please don't put this on Twitter.
So Paul Graham will not refuse your letters.
Yes, please.
Wow, thank you so much. And we see that trajectory again, like Fadeyi, Ojuelegba, Moshin, where I grew up, is a kind of area where we have a lot of challenges. And we have a lot of, one problem that I see a lot is the belief problem, that can someone like me get to this kind of place? Yeah. And one of the reasons why we are hosting this, one of the reasons why we have the session live, where the recording will be available, will be that someone somewhere will watch this and say, oh, these people, it doesn't matter. If I can follow this kind of trajectory, I'll definitely get there. Thank you, Dr. Didi, for sharing that.
Can I just quickly add something,
yes.
Maybe to help someone? Maybe some of you even have similar stories. Maybe you will share also. I failed JAMB 4 times. I wouldn't say fail. I just didn't get into university, even though you had the good grades. You know how it is in Nigeria anyway. But and by the time I got into Yaba Tech, I had made up my mind that, look, how can I be getting these high scores in JAMB and not getting to university? And people were getting much lower scores. And when I said high score at that time, like 260 something, 270, I was not getting it. People they'll say, oh, come and do physics, or come and do, and this is not me trying to put down any course, but I wanted to do engineering, you get. So maybe if I had someone to advise me at that time, I would have gone to do. But anyway, the long story short is that by the time I got into Polytechnic, I had made up my mind I was not going to university at all, because I was just fed up. But thank God for my dad. In fact, it was my dad that applied for that JAMB. I remember he came home to tell me, look, on the last day or deadline, look, I've applied for you, whatever. I was angry at him. Why would you? Da. But with benefit of hindsight now, I'm grateful that he made that decision on my behalf. And I've just mentioned that because, and I'll be mentioning some other personal stories as we go on, that failure for some people might be part of the story. What is important is that we learn from it. Even here in the UK, people make mistakes, people fail. But as long as you learn from it and we move forward, that's the most important thing.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Deji. Mayoga, please fire on.
Thank you, Toyyib.
I
think it's even important we do that now.
Yes.
Considering what is happening back home. I think that is the extent I'm allowed to get involved in such a conversation. But thank you so much, Toyyib, for giving us the opportunity to share your awesomeness. You've been a very consistent person.
Thank you.
And your character is very clean. And I hope and I pray that continues to defy your legacy as we proceed. So, my name is Egbe Omarodi, and I'm from Benin in Edo State. And it's important I start from there because we have really good people from Benin or from Edo, but unfortunately, some of the big social stereotypes seems to cover or becloud, or is a veil to cover or shade the goodness we carry as well as the people. We're very smart, intelligent people, but I failed starting up. I think I wasn't very intelligent when I was in my secondary school days until I became, in fact, that was what really drew me to my faith as a Christian, even though I'm not a very good one. But back then, it was what took me to Christ. And I said, I think I'm better than this. And the story actually just changed from there. So when I hear people talk about miracles, my biggest miracle was from that minute I went to Christ to say, look, I think I'm more intelligent than this. My academic successes just went up. So I wanted to study pharmacy. So I had a cousin in Lagos who was a pharmacist, and he comes to Benin every time he's coming. He brings his used clothes for me because we had the same body type. So I just said, look, I'm going to be a pharmacist. So when I finished my secondary school, I think at the age of 16, 17, I decided to get a job in a pharmacy. I decided to get a job in a chemist within my community. And I did this because I also came from a very modest home. I didn't come from Mushin, but I had something similar to Mushin, which was Ubo in Benin. And the irony is we had a university, teaching hospital, we have the University of Benin, but the community was so laid back. And being the last child, I've seen my elder ones struggling. So something told me I need to start defining my future now. So I got a job in a chemist. So that was after my, is it GSE or WAEC, they call it now.
Yeah.
So when my result then came out, I failed. And I was so disturbed. So working in the chemist, and then at times I go to construction sites to be a laborer. Because my intention was I can save money to get my JAM done, prepare for the university, because I knew what my parents were like. These are very modest family. And then I failed JAM. So I went to Lagos because it was shameful that I had a university just behind the house. And everybody is going to go to uni. But please have this at the back of your mind. I'll come to this line. Everybody was going to uni. So I went to Lagos, and my cousin sat me down and told me, let your dream be yours. Wow, I just couldn't understand. He said, you want to be a pharmacist because you see me do it. But I see you every time I come to Benin, how you work in the construction site. Have you even thought about picking up a career in construction? And that just blew my mind. So he introduced me to one of his friends in Lagos. And the man just said to me, for you to be a good quantity surveyor, you need to have good construction background. If I knew this, so his name is Adelodun. Yeah. So for the QSs here, yeah. So young boy, so he took me to Adelodun and he said, look, my friend is doing very well now in Abuja, Malam Erufai. I taught him QSN. But if I knew what I'm telling you now, I would probably be much better. And this was a very successful man in the industry. So he told me, go to the Polytechnic, and with your results, you can have a place. So I went into Auchi Polytechnic, did my OND and HND in building technology. And every term break, I work in every construction site I can behold. As a matter of fact, anytime I go to the Polytechnic, I see buildings where I worked. And at that time, I was a laughing stock. So everybody is going clubbing. So for those who follow me on Twitter, you hear me saying every Friday, go to the club. Because those days, it was a big deal that I couldn't afford to go because of time and resources. I needed to fend for myself. So I worked in almost all the construction buildings within those 4 years in school. And as destiny will have it, I had an opportunity to go do my youth service in Kaduna. And that was where the story then just changed. Because I was so determined, and I also knew the stigma having an HND carries, I just wanted to break the chains. So I came into the UK to do a BS in quantity surveying. And at the same time, I was working as a management trainee. Again, I was married at that time. My mentor, Jelekoko, told me, allow the children grow with your struggles. So it was in the process of my professional practice as a quantity surveyor, which took me again back to Nigeria as well. And my wife was here, so I was doing 3 weeks, 1 week for about 10 years. I then discovered there was a very big niche market in the construction industry, that is dispute. You'll be amazed that this hall we are sitting probably still has a dispute that is being resolved in court. And we have a court called the Technology and Construction Court, where everybody who practices there is a specialist legal practitioner with construction background. Niche, beautiful, you get paid, you don't know you even get paid. I'll hold it there.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that breakdown. And you can see the trajectory of our panelists. You can see that struggle. Like sometimes when we meet each other, we don't know what each other has been through. And it just goes to show, we were able to get some more students towards the end. It's just for us to know that, like, it is not easy, but if you hang in there, if you continue to push, if you hang around good people, someone will know you for something that this guy is trying. Let us help him out with this. So it doesn't matter who is laughing at you now. That doesn't matter. Just keep going. Stay focused. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Dr. Taiwo, you went from Offa to head Shell hydrogen operations. How was your journey like?
Zigzag.
Okay.
Yeah, so, interestingly, from Offa, we always look at everybody from Lagos as very rich. So when you are saying Fadi, you all see all our rich people.
So you mean no trenches in Lagos from Offa?
It's just like, here, if you're in UK to people in Nigeria, you're like, oh man, I'm in this part or I'm in that part. You'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so born, raised in Offa, and sometimes during my secondary school, I just decided I need to go out of that. There is like a path, right? So we are the exceptions, unfortunately, right? Because even today, where you were born still largely determines how you end up. And that is true globally, actually. I've come to realize. Even in countries like the US or UK, the zip code or the postal code where you were born still largely determines where you end up, unfortunately. So I don't want to be that statistic, right? So as I was finishing my secondary school, I decided that I need to go to like where the big boys are and just compete with them. I don't want to be a local champion. I was a local champion, I don't want to be a local champion. I want to compete with, and I couldn't find a better school than OAU. It's Obama University. So.
You want to start a civil war here?
So I went to Ife. Unfortunately, I was disappointed in Ife because the quality of the education was not what I expected. It was like, it's as good as you can get in Nigeria, but it wasn't what I was expecting. So midway through my journey in Ife, I decided that I had to go to do something more than this, because I would feel so inadequate going to the industry with the kind of education they give me. I would feel like a fraud, and then I just could picture myself in the industry with no advanced degree, and someone would come and just be telling everybody what to do, and I'd be like, he knows so much, can't I also know, like, so I just decided I have to study to like the maximum, which was, PhD, so that even if it's just like a niche, it might be like a small thing, but I will know that I own that small thing, and that's what I ended up doing.
Wow, thank you so much for that breakdown. And you mentioned something very, very important, and which we should also look at in terms of our struggles. We are heavily, heavily, heavily disadvantaged. Even the richest among us, where we come from, we are heavily, heavily disadvantaged. If you look at like the money, the amount of money that flows around, everybody in Africa is trying to get, let's say, $1 billion, $2 billion. But if you look at, in terms of what is moving around in London alone, if you look at London's healthcare budget, if you look at London's education budget, just London alone, if you look at the data and look at the whole of Nigeria, you'll see that you'll be thinking, why is 200 million people sharing this amount of money and this small 9 million people has this much? So what?
Just to add to that, like the GDP of California
Yes.
is more than that of the whole Africa.
You can imagine that. So when you now look at that and you look at public spending and you look at the quality of education we are getting, and it just goes to show the amount of work we have to do on the side to even actually be on par with our mates globally. And we should not be naive about how much work we have to put in. We can rest if we have to rest. That's fine. But we must understand that this thing, we have to continually put something in us that will help us to be where we want to be. Thank you so much for that breakdown. So my next question is, in your careers, the way you've looked at it, there are a lot of people that want to break through. They want to break into construction. They want to break through into engineering. Some of us have worked in Nigeria, and some of you have worked in Nigeria as well. What do you think anyone that wants to break through now, that wants to come through, maybe they are applying for the jobs or they are going for the interview, what skills do you think they should be holding down? Excel is a powerful tool in all industries, finance, quant surveying. I see QSs that I'm close to, they use Excel a lot. And I see that sometimes we have people that are not too, like, they can't use it, and they are expecting to get into the industry. I did an interview one time, and I was in front of, like, the director of Mace. I didn't get that job, but he sent me an email later of the things that I got wrong. And he was telling me, the first question he threw at me was that, okay, if you are going to build a ceiling now, how do you arrange the services? Are you going to put the ductwork first, the tray first? How would you do it? The plumbing, the electricity, and the HVAC. How would you arrange it? What will you do first? That's the first question they threw at me. So a lot of us will be going to interviews where we'll be sitting in front of people like yourself. What are the skills that you expect or you think someone trying to break in should have? Shubomi, please.
For me, is self-belief a skill?
Well, it's important. it's important to nurse, yeah.
It's not a skill, but I have had opportunity to interact with a lot of people. I have had opportunity to talk to a lot of people from our country. I think many of us lack that, including me. It has happened to me in the past. We usually think because we are from Nigeria or because of the type of education we get, we don't have that confidence. So for me, first, I would say self-belief is really something that one needs to work on. Regarding skill, it depends in the particular industry you belong to. Because we are in the construction industry in general, doesn't mean that we all do the same thing. There are different skills for different professions. But as a QS or as a construction professional in general, I think one skill that you don't want to do away with is Excel. it's something that pivot around all professional in the construction industry. And if you happen to find yourself in, let's say, the quantity surveying or maybe any surveying role, I have had opportunity to meet with different. The way surveying is broken down in this part of the world is different from the way it is back in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we most likely know quantity surveyor. In fact, many people don't know what quantity surveyor, what they do. But here, you get to see different surveying. You will see building surveying, you will see geoinformatics, you will see fire surveyors. A lot. In fact, if you have to list surveying roles, you will see more, like you will see more than 10. So there is a lot. So the skills to acquire actually boils down to where you find yourself. But one thing I would say is, if you are a construction professional, you don't want to do away with things like knowing how to use Excel. And another thing that is really key is knowing necessary transferable skills, like knowing all these planning softwares like Primavera is really important. Microsoft projects, really, really important. So those things are what you want to put in your skill. And also, there is something called client-facing role that we do a lot because I work with consultants. I face clients almost all the time. This thing is something that we need to develop. Analytical skill is really important. When you're talking to a client, clients want information on the spot. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you give an information and you're going back to your client and say, look, the information I gave the other time is wrong. So you have to be exact. So when you are giving information, it has to be the right information. So being analytical is really something you also want to work on as a person. So these things, there is so much to it that if we stay here, we will keep stating and we will not live here. So I am quite open, maybe later after this session, if anyone wants to get to meet with me or have a chat with me, we can discuss further. There's so much to that. I'm open to help with people.
Thank you so much, Shubomi. Thank you so much for that very serious breakdown. There is one that came to me there as a construction person, like understanding what is going on. Like if my director walks into a room, he'll be like, "What's the finish on this wall? What's happening on this ground? What's the floor finishes? What's the ceiling finish? What is meant to be here? Is it timber or tiles?" You don't want to walk into those kind of meetings and you don't know it because he's visiting probably like 10 sites a day. He doesn't have that information on his head. So he expects you that he's paying so pound per hour to have that information at the back of your hand. It is just how it is. And if my director comes to site and he sees two laborers talking, he's not going to say anything. He'll just come straight to the office and say, "Are we getting the most value for those laborers? Maybe we should sack one." That's the way they think. They are on the money here. If they are not seeing value, they'll just be like, "Okay, let him go." So that preparedness and then the self-belief is also very important. There is nothing anybody is doing that you cannot do. Honestly, there is nothing. They may have more knowledge than you, but if you go and do the same thing, you'll get it as well. Dr. Deji, please.
Yeah, well, he said most of it, especially soft skills there. My background as going from systems engineering, robotics, AI, and the rest of it has helped me quite a lot. I remember our systems, and I'm just going to harp on just two key things here. As a systems engineer training in Nigeria, one of the things my head of department used to harp on at that time was to say, to see ourselves as problem solvers. Until today, that's the way I see myself even in my field. And that's the same thing I would like to say, whether as an engineer, whatever engineering, because engineering is really wide, isn't it? Whatever engineering, see yourself as a problem solver. and be very good at what you do. I think he mentioned something like, even if it's that small space that you find yourself, be very good at it. Because you see, interviews are about confidence, basically. Chances are that even maybe on the panel of those interviewing you, maybe only one person would know as well as you do, basically. They are looking for, say they are looking for an engineer to come and solve a problem at their place of work. You've done your research. You know how good you are in that area. And so you're confidently telling them, this is how you go about solving this problem. So you want them to have that image of you already working with them, solving that problem for them. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So for example, I sit on interview panel sometimes, so we know what we're looking for. Yeah, so when we are asking that person questions, we're asking that person questions based on that problem that we have. So that person has to, okay, how would you solve this problem? So you need to put yourself, so I remember one interview I went for years ago though, and I was already, the way I was talking to them, I was like, so, given that I'm in this role, this is what I would do, and then and I was using the word we, as if I was already there, as if I was already in that role, and this is how we'll do, this is what we'll do on a daily basis, we'll do this, we'll do that, yeah, and I got that job. I don't know if that was why I got it, but confidence is key for any interview role, and be very, very good at, you're not going to get every role that you apply for. That's the honest truth. But don't, I didn't get this role does not mean that you're not good enough. It may just be that that's not the role for you. But always get feedback also, because it helps you to know what you need to improve on, especially if that's something that you really want. It helps you to know what you really need. And that's one thing I need to say before I pass on the mic. If you're a master's student here and you're just starting, I always tell all our master's students, when they start in September, October, or January, whenever, I tell them, even if you're not looking for a role now, start applying now. Because for every interview, you know where your shortcomings are, and you can always prepare. So every job has an essential, has a desirable. So when you go back and they send you, we are sorry, you didn't get this job, blah, blah, you yourself, you can do a quick assessment. Why did I not get it? Why do I think I didn't get it? You ask them for feedback, but you also give yourself feedback. Okay, this is one area I need to improve on. So that by the time you finish your 9 months, 12 months masters, you've improved so much on yourself, and that job that you're actually looking for, you can then go for it. So don't wait till 2 months to the time, which is what we normally do, or what I see many students doing. Which is what we normally don't wait till 2 months to when you're graduating, because that's why everybody, we are so busy now, coursework and all that. I know it's hard, but preparation is very key. So that self-confidence, be very good at what you do, and always improve, always improve. Like he's just said, I'm very open. I'll be here during the networking session to take if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deji. One key thing he mentioned there is starting early. Starting early. I mean, he has been doing a lot of work with international students for years, with Black Excellence and every other thing, and TATL as well. Like even last week, they came down to the House of Parliament. I went to see them as well. So with the work I do as well, I see that in a lot of people, like they wait too long to start testing themselves, to start testing the water. So as soon as you're starting, start applying, start understanding what the job market looks like. Because at the end of the day, you have a degree, the job market wants what it wants. So start testing yourself, going. And one thing about interviews is that you get better at it. You just get better. There was a time I was looking for a job. I was doing that interview so much, and I was getting close. I was thinking, very soon, they'll soon hear from me. Because I knew that the way I could see the pattern of the questions, I could see the way they were asking. I was like, okay. I missed this one here. I go back and revise it. And then I know that it is coming soon. And that's just how it is. So don't leave it too late, as I said, and it will really, really work out well.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to skills, what you need to do to prepare yourself, I try as much as possible to put a caveat to the extent that we give opinions based on experiences we know about, And there's so many other experiences we don't know, because possibilities are as many as the human faces. So my caveat is, whatever I tell you is what I know works. And it probably has worked for me and people have seen. It may not work for you, but there's every likelihood that because it worked for me and people have seen, it's going to work for you. And there's also the possibility that what I've told you may not work is because I've not seen it worked, and it could work for you. So at the end of the day, the reason I do this is you take that responsibility. So the very first skill is the ability to take ownership of your decisions and not regretting them no matter what happens. It's very critical, because you read, you hear, but the man who decides to act what he hears and reads is the person who is acting on it. So, I say to these young proteges who have had opportunities to mentor, it is you who needs to take the responsibility of the mentoring. It's not my responsibility, but I'm willing to. Then honesty is very important. Be a honest person. I've seen, I still do conventional quantity surveying every now and then. But I've sat in budget appraiser meetings where we do a forecast to the end of the project, and we know we're already docked with fund. And one thing we always talk about is, how do we train somebody to do the role of the guy we're paying 500 a day during commissioning? Now. So we don't need to renew his contract at the end of his contract. And we then decide to go to the market to get what we call non-cognate construction experts. By non-cognate, what it means is you have no construction industry experience. I want to repeat that. You have no construction industry experience. And we want to bring you on board. As far as you can read, write, you're honest, you're trained and teachable. And that's the beauty of this country. So let me hinge back to what Symposium said. When you come here, the minute you step your foot in Heathrow or Gatwick, or you came in through the other non-conventional routes, the minute you come, if you can, you see Nigeria, put it on hold. Don't say because Omorodion is always talking about Nigeria on Twitter or wherever he is, you want to compete with Omorodion. 21 years ago, when Omorodion was in your position, there was no Twitter. So I couldn't even discuss Nigeria when I was struggling to succeed. So honesty is important. So when we then put in an advert, we need a quantity surveyor. And by ethical default, we need to write out everything the person needs to do. Then you now bring a CV, and somebody just said, dude, write this, write that, write this, and you know in your heart, you don't have these skills. Why create trouble for yourself from the very beginning when you can create sympathy and opportunity? Because if I employ you knowing that this is a non-cognate person, it is my responsibility then to now train you. It is. I will have to train you. So, like I said in my story, so when I came in, I went through the management training scheme. Who is this boy with tribal mark in his face? Who is this boy that doesn't talk like us? So we have to train him. And because I was willing, I was really well trained. So when I hear people talk about they paid some thousands for school fees, I didn't pay, my brother. It is possible. They refunded whatever I've paid. And because the kind of training we have back home where you see, the difficulties of our training or our lively or growing is even an opportunity in disguise. Because when you come to an environment like this, I was trained using the scale rule, giving massive drawings to take off. And then you now ask me to use computer. Bro, if you tell me to do it in an hour, I'll do it in 10 minutes. And your white man is looking at you. Oh my God, this is a problem solver where I can go on holiday, I can leave things for him to do. And you are gradually breaking ground and you're going in. So be honest. Go to those interviews with who you are. If the rejection comes, fine. Like he said, the more rejections you get, the closer you are getting to the door. As a matter of fact, because I was so lazy to go to the loft, I have a box of my early days. I decided to keep this for my children. When I came in, I applied for at least 110 quantity surveying roles. There was no Twitter, no LinkedIn, no Facebook, nothing. Do you know how we get those things those days? When you're walking on the road, you see where they're building, they put the name, you take it, you send your CV, you write it on a notebook. So that if they call you, you say you save your CV with the name of the job you applied for. Right? So be honest and do those things. And then be dogged. Yeah, be dogged. This is a society where doggedness, haven't said all and done, you are not dogged. I'm sorry, you may not be fit for the purpose of what you want. I think I told you some days ago, it is easier to keep your job than to get one. Sorry, it is easier to get a job than to keep one. It's easier to get. So if you've been having difficulty in getting a job, just then realize what it will look like for you to sustain that job. Especially when you're a person of color from the disadvantageous position. So when I finished my BSc and then discovered that there was a big market in construction law, I decided to go to King's College. They rejected me the first time. Why? The same devil that befell me that I couldn't get a distinction because in my BSc, because the way we write, where we come from, you know our referencing is like something else. So when they said Oxford referencing in my BSc, I didn't understand. So my first assignment, I put Auchi referencing. So the lecturer called me to his office and said, the content of your write-up is heavy, but the structure is poor. So I won't fail you. I won't ask you to repeat it, but I should give you a feedback. And he gave me 40. There was nothing I did not do. I couldn't hit a distinction, but I still ended up with a 2-1. Give me a round of applause. Right? I still ended up with a 2-1. Yeah, a very good one. Very good 2-1. Right? So they rejected me when I applied for the Center of Construction and Dispute Resolution. It's a heavily government-invested sector of construction white paper policy making. So the government invests a lot of money, and because of that, the amount of home students they take is about 3 or 4. Because this is Britain. They want their educations and ways to go out of their country. So they want more foreign students in a class of only 50. We're only 50 in that center. They don't take more than 50. And then I decided to request for a feedback why I was rejected. And then they invited me. And they told me my structure of the course is the objective why you want to study the course. So all I needed to do was just copy the outcome and say, this is why I want to do it. Bro, I did it, copied it, pasted it for them. The next year they gave me the admission. My employers paid again. Right? Now, you are just being honest with yourself, with what you can do. Haven't then said all and done. There's something I found out just this year. I met a young QS who is practicing in this country from Nigeria. And he rang me and said, Ebon, I have some opportunities I want to tell you. I said, what is it? He said, I'm managing some subcontractors. And the guy is my friend now. We go to the pub to drink. I've introduced him to one of my friends who does his application for payments, and this my friend does it, and he gives me some tips. And I'm just thinking, I want to introduce you to him so that you can help him be reviewing his contract. Oh my God. When he told me people were there, I took him to the nearest quiet place. It was a toilet. And I said, as a quantity surveyor, what you're just telling me now is your breach of professional ethics. You see, these little things we do from home, and we think we go away with it. The day it catches up on you, you're gone. This same guy you think is your best friend, hawking dowry, drinking in the pub, laughing, is the same guy who's going to tell his friend, this is what I'm doing. And he's going to sell you out. Yeah? Honesty, responsibility taken, just be who you are before any of all of these other things. Excel, Word, you can learn anything. But character, you have to grow with it. And finally, the good skill you then need is, please, when you apply for a job, people go and check out your social timelines. People do. Yeah? I got married at 25. By the grace of God, my first daughter is preparing for a dentistry school next year. I can decide today to talk anything I want to say. You know why? So if you are competing with me, just be sure that you also have the same auxiliary weapons and reserve that I have. But it's just wisdom, I'm saying. It doesn't take anything away from you from being a very responsible person, especially in the days of your struggling. If you need somebody to copy, Toyyib is a good example. Yeah? So that's all from me. It's possible you don't even need to have anything to do with construction. We built one of the biggest desalination plants in Beckton. We used the Institute of Chemical Engineers contracts, and we converted people who studied chemistry into quantity surveying because we needed those skills. They need to tell us the specifics of chemistry. And then we brought them into quantity surveying. So if you are building a school, you can also convert a teacher because you need a teacher to help with your design. Yeah. You need to. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use it. Yeah.
What's the question again?
So, for a young person trying to get in, you've moved from, because studying your profile, you actually wanted to do petroleum. Yeah, actually, we did a podcast that is going to come out one day, but I mean, I was already briefed. So you did chemical engineering, and then you ended up working in hydrogen. So if a young person is trying to break through into that industry, what do you think they should hold in terms of skills? Where should they look? What should they start with? Where should they try and go deep diving?
Yeah, very good question, and I echo everything my panelists have said. So I'm not going to try to repeat. I'll try to build on what you said. It was Steve Jobs that said you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect it looking backward, right? So it's very easy for me now to tell my story because I can look back and say, and connect it and weave a narrative out of it. But really, when you stand and you're looking forward, you really don't know how the dots are going to connect. So what you know is today, and of course your history. And what I can tell you is just do well what your hand finds to do. Whatever it is you're doing, quantity surveying, chemistry, chemical engineering, just do it so well. And it's in the process of investing yourself, investing your, energy flows where focus goes. right? So it's in that process of focusing on something that all of your energy goes into it that you begin to really discover yourself and you begin to discover what you want to do next. So every job that I've had, every role I've had, it's been like the best one so far. Why? Because in this current role, I learn like, okay, I don't really like this. Okay, this is not really me. This is okay. So when I'm looking for my next opportunity, that's what I'm looking for. And then I get that next opportunity. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's better than the last one, but these are aspects of my day to day that I don't like. So I keep moving from one role, a good role, to a better role, to the best role, and now I think I'm in my ideal place now, in my happy place. So I would say that just do very well what you're doing right now. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, should I do cybersecurity or should I do AI?" I'm like, just do well what you're doing, and um, your excellence in that would really naturally lead you to what your next role should be. Once you pour yourself into something so much, you begin to say, you know what, I think this is what I'm called to do. I think this is my zone. Or you say, this is really not my zone. Then what's your zone? Okay, what do you like in what you have done so far? What do you want more of? But either way, you wouldn't know that by reading a book, by even listening to us, you will know that. You will really know it by actually doing it, and then teaching yourself what you like, what you don't like.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Dr. Taiwo. And that last bit that you mentioned, I felt it when I was a laborer and I wanted to do some courses. So I used to go to the canteen. I'll be asking people. If I see a plasterer, I'll go and sit near him. I'll have break with him. So if he's Romanian, I'll go and speak his language to him. So I'll say, how much are you getting as a plasterer? I say, yeah, I'm getting, if I do price work, I could get 1,000 a week. I say, oh, okay, 1,000. Okay, I think that's very good. Then I'll go and ask a bricklayer. I'll sit with a bricklayer as well. How much do you get? Say, getting 200. You're getting 200 a day. Okay, that's fine. So I was asking all around. Then I now met one man. QSs, they always know, and he was a senior QS. And I went to meet him. I said, I'm kind of confused. He said, just pick one thing and be very good at it. He said, there is money. If he said, he said, don't worry about the money. Just pick one thing and be very good at it. The money is going to come. So, and that point just sticks with me a lot. So I'm going to come from that end now, and I'll try and combine two questions into one. How was your experience with it at the early stage, at the later stage, and how did you handle it? Because you told me the staggering number of jobs you applied for because you were finished your PhD and you wanted a job and you wanted to stay in the US. So you definitely had a lot of rejections. And imposter syndrome, when you come in, you must have had it several times from OFA to OAU, and then from OAU to the USA. So how have you handled those two, rejections and imposter syndrome?
Another very good question. So I feel like my background actually gave me an undue advantage. So growing up, I sold, meat pies, pure water, moi moi, lolly, all of that. And I carry it on my head, sell to. I'm poor, but I'm also selling to other poor people, and poor people are not nice. So I get a lot of no's, I get a lot of rejections, and at least here, right, when they reject you, they'll still make you feel good a little bit. Right? We carefully reviewed your application. You're good, but nah, offer is not like that. Like this money for 40 kobo. Go away, Joe. So I guess my sales background really, you get a lot of no's before you get 1 yes somebody to buy what you're selling. But really, growing up, my goal has always been I'm not going to go back home with that tray full. I will sell everything. Sometimes it's a tray, sometimes it's a cooler that I put those things in, but I'm not going to go home with it full because who's going to eat it at home? They're expecting me to bring home the money, not bring home a cooler full of moi moi or meat pie. So I'm willing, even right from very early, to get through all the rejections that I need to get through for me to sell what I need to sell. And that's really the way I've also approached my applications, whether for grad school. My first round of applications were all no's. The second round, half of it were no's and half of it yes, and I picked the best yes out of the several yeses. So when I was applying to my job, because I needed work sponsorship, it made it really difficult. So I applied to 700 different roles.
7 what?
700.
Okay.
And it was no. I applied to so many jobs that years into my job in Shell, I still get emails. I was still receiving emails. Like, sorry. I like, yeah, you too, sorry. Years, like 2-3 years into my job, I was still getting like sometimes I would look at the company like, who is this? I applied to you. But so you have to go through that. But I just needed one yes. So that's the rejection. The imposter syndrome that one is more tricky. It's actually more tricky because I would be in a room, and unfortunately the rooms I'm usually in, I'm usually the only black, So I'll be in a room and I will be talking and all of that, and you wouldn't know any difference between me. Of course, I'm different, right? And then I will go to the bathroom and I'll be like, I would do cartwheels. Sometimes I would call and you can't believe this. I was telling them what to do. But I will come back and I guess you just deal with it really by having a close family, close group of people that you can just say, my goodness, just keep me real, because this is not real. But then when you get into the room, when you get into the arena, just know that you qualified. They didn't do you a favor by giving you whatever opportunity it was. They gave you that opportunity because they knew that you're going to contribute. So you just go there, contribute. That's it. I'm going to give one quick story. So in my last role, I was leading the operations team. So we work with a lot of contractors and people wanting to win contracts with my team. So there was this guy that came. I think he was the CEO of a small company, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, my family is from Bolivia. My dad sponsored the president of Bolivia." I mean, he was just full of himself. I was like, "Bros, leave all that one. Tell me about your company. What is your safety record? What's this, that?" By the time I finished grilling him, he was sweating. Yeah, I don't care about your family in Bolivia. And he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Offa in Nigeria." I mean, let's talk. Let's talk. What brought us to this room?
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And he's giving us a very big number there, 700. And I get a lot of messages on the ground like I'm looking for a job with sponsorship, and it is not unusual to get these rejections. It is not unusual, and that's why a community is important. That's why this kind of events is important. You just need someone, a shoulder to lean on sometimes. Some of some of us came here with our partners. Just hug your partner, you know. It is just what it is. Honestly, it is like there is no big secret behind it. You just have to go again, take feedback, go again. Mauga, please.
So, I will start mine with a story because, again, these things the challenges we face, I think we've already had experiences that probably prepared us for them. So, like I said, so back home growing up, and so when I was in the Polytechnic, so I was dating a girl in my street. I lied. In my community. And apparently, her dad was one of the most well-to-do. Yeah? And she was in a private university. And I was in a Polytechnic. How audacious was I? And my father's house was one of the poorest in the community. Wow. I sit down at times and I say to myself, from already on, you've always been a very dogged guy. Yeah? It takes capacity to do that, isn't it? So, when I was going for my youth service, courtesy then determines that I need to tell my parents who I was seeing. She comes home, but my mom just thought maybe because we go to the same Catholic church and all of those things, but there was something deeper to it. So I told my mom, this is the guy I'm seeing. And my mom then asked her, have you told your mom? She then said, not really. And my mom said, it's important you tell your mom, because then my mom was the president of the Catholic Women, and her mom was a member of the Catholic Women. 2 days before I went to the youth service, she came to me and said, my mom said, how dare I date somebody from such a home? It hit me for the first time, like, oh my God, really? And she said, I really love you, but I don't want my mom's problem for you. I'm calling it off. My gosh. So I told my mom, and I said, Mom, this is what she just told me, but that's fine. I'm off to camp. So I had a very painful experience in camp. But that period also then helped me. It was when Pastor Sam Adeyemi started the Success Power. Mm-hmm. And he used to write an article in, was it Times Magazine? He had a column. So I go to the local, so having listened to Sam Adeyemi in the morning, I will go to the local newspaper and read his article because I couldn't afford. And those days there were no iPhones or smartphones to take pictures. I would just read. And then I was trying to then renew my disappointment. Then time then healed. Because time moves. That's the beauty of it. Time definitely moves. And it's important that in the movement of time that we pick up good attitude and manners along with time. So years later, and so this is one of the reasons I then decided to get married early. Because I told myself I don't want any girl to go through what I went through. I had a heartbreak. Because I've always heard heartbreak, and I hear it from my sisters. I've never heard it from any guy. So when I then suffered it, I said, oh, is this what my sisters are going through? And I said, woe betide me being the person to allow a female go through it. So I sat with my mom as the last child, and I told my mom what my pains were. So my mom now said, you've gotten a job in Kaduna, they've transferred you to Lagos. You must get married. You must get married. So I got 2 jobs, one with Queensway Aluminium, the owners of Tower Aluminium in Lagos, and First Bank. So First Bank was 120,000 and Tower was 40,000. And I said, why should I go and work in? Because the person who gave me the First Bank job, she told me she liked me, the lady. I went to the bank. I've always been liked by ladies anyways. So she helped me to get the job. And I said, I studied building because I want to be a quantity surveyor from my mentor. How do I then go back and say I'm now working in the bank? So I turned it down. I said, no, I'm not taking this job. I would go with this 40K. I'm just starting. So they then transferred me to Lagos, and my salary just went bang. So my mom saw my pay slip and said, the next thing now my son needs to get married. I think I was 24 then. So I was still 7. And I had to go back for my passing out. On that day of my passing out, then I met my wife. And I just went straight to her. I said, I like you. I want you to marry me. She thought it was a joke. So 6 months down the line, we got married. Yeah? So the reason I'm sharing this story is because with this imposter syndrome, challenges, and the likes, these experiences in the professional side, these experiences of our growing actually prepares us for them. Whether you like it or not, they do. You want to apply for a job or you need a job, and because they've rejected you, I thought I was a king of rejection at 150. I've seen 700. No, this is the beauty of it, though. This is the beauty of it. This is why we need a community, right? 700, right? And a girl has rejected me, and I've made the best out of it by helping myself. I did not stop there because I have to get married. You've been rejected 150 times. You need to get that job. Keep pushing. Now, if you're a believer in the universe or anything you believe in, I'm sure there is a cutoff. If your cutoff is 200 and you stopped at 199, it's for you. You are the owner of your destiny. So that is why you have to keep pushing, right? And just keep pushing, and keep pushing. How do I share my story? I keep saying this. I've got tribal marks. In my early days in the industry, when I go into meetings, everybody's not paying attention to the minutes or the meetings or the agenda. Who is this guy? The way he talks, he's even got tribal marks. But they can't ask you until you become familiar. Then they take you aside. Why do you have this mark? Wow. It becomes the tree that Zacchaeus climbed. And you use it as an opportunity to sell yourself. These are the guys who are now, because these are your mates who are now directors, who are now MDs, who will now remember that, oh, there was a guy. There was this story. There was this doggedness. So don't put yourself down. I cannot but stress enough. You do not know how much the society we are, the managers of it, love our spirits. When they hear what we pay, when they hear how we come, when they see what our weather looks like, and the fact that we are here, do you know what they say? You are just one in a million. Listen. Do not, because this is also a motivation session. Please enjoy this moment. I came in today and I went to greet the security guards in the reception. Why did I do it? So in my days, I did security. In fact, my first job, I was peeling potato in a courtroom in Paddington. I would peel potato for if the white man says you're peeling potato for 12 hours, that's what you're peeling, right? 12 hours, right? I peeled them. I was dogged, right? Don't allow yourself to be rejected. My first house I bought, I used security money to buy it. So when I gave birth to my daughter, and we went to do the registration, and they asked me, what is your job, what is your profession? I said, my wife nodded me. You're a quantity surveyor. I said, no, I'm a security guard. I decided to write it because I know that the future is heavy, and there should be a testimonial where she will know that she doesn't have to behave like the girl who rejected me. My second daughter boldly wrote it a quantity surveyor. But the first one, security guard. She's the custodian of my inheritance. So she would see that her dad started from somewhere. Provided the guy who will come, I pray, he doesn't struggle like me. Provided the boy is responsible, right? Please do not define yourself. Don't define your colleague. Don't define the man toasting you. Don't define the woman liking you by her circumstance now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Diji, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, how do you top that? For me personally, I wouldn't say, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not I wouldn't say I'm somebody who is determined. I must do this or do that. But I've also learned in my life. It says something very important. I think it was when I failed JAM those 4 times. I had a I had a writing on my wall in my room in Nigeria, and what I wrote there was that the difference between the possible and the impossible is time. And I put it there on my wall. Every day I wake up, that's the first thing I would see. Because you see, I'd always, right from primary school, I'd always wanted to do, you watch TV. I used to watch all these things on, I don't know whether you guys watch it, on NTA2 Channel 5, Beyond. They used to do these futuristic programs. And I used to see all these robots. I'm like, one day I'll build these things, right from primary school. So when I got to secondary school and we're doing JAM, back then, I don't know about now, back then, there were not universities doing robotics and whatever. So if you're Nigerian and you want to do engineering, it's usually mechanical, electrical, you understand, those kind of stuff. So my mind was, maybe I can't even study in this country. But of course, when you have parents that can't even pay for your for your studies right there in Nigeria, you can't dream that big. So my mind was, okay, I'll do mechanical or electrical, and then I'll go and do masters, maybe get scholarship and all that. I'm sharing this story for a reason. So all those JAM was either mechanical or electrical or something. And I didn't get in, like I've explained. But the year I got in finally at the University of Lagos, mechanical engineering, during our first year, a lecturer just came to class one day. I remember very well, that's that day exactly, GEG 101, so my first year. And he said, guys, they're starting a new course. It's going to be the best course in the University of Lagos. It's going to be the best course in Nigeria. It's called Systems Engineering. And he was talking about the course. And so at some point, when you get to your 3rd year at that course, you'll now be ready. You'll be told to choose whether you want to do robotics and AI. And it just clicked in my head. Wow, this is exactly what I want to study. And looking back now, I'm thinking if I had gotten, and I'm not using this as an excuse or whatever, but it seemed like everything just aligned, I'd always wanted to do robotics. It didn't sound like I was going to do robotics in Nigeria. But suddenly, here I was, at this time, after not getting to university 2, 3, 4 years after I left school. And then I'm getting there into university, and they're starting this new course just right there. And of course, I changed from mechanical to systems engineering, and the rest, they say, is history. And that has always helped me. Since then, that has always helped me in terms of, I tell myself, everything would align. As long as I keep going, everything would align. So when I came to the UK and I was doing masters, and we were going to do post-study. Back then, when you do post-study, you need to have a certain amount in your account for 2 months or 3 months before you can apply for post-study. And I didn't even have that money. And there was nobody I could talk to for that to help me put small money in my account. And all my friends everybody was getting ready to apply for it. But I was certain in my heart that the right thing will come at the right time. Just keep going. I was applying for PhDs at that time in the US, in Canada, in different places, getting all the usual rejections. Now, when I look at those emails that I sent out for PhD, I understand why they rejected me. And that's why I always say, guys, ask for feedback. Well, the funny thing is, even the PhD that I got at Loughborough University, if I showed you the email that I sent for that PhD, you would laugh. Like, how can they accept this? I just wrote an email to say, I saw your advert on blah, 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 blah. I'm interested in this PhD. I have attached my CV. The typical Nigerian application. I've attached my CV. And the next thing was they invited me to come for the interview. I went to, in fact, the day I was going to go for the interview, I missed my train. And the next train was 1 hour later. I had to quickly run back because I didn't have money for internet on my phone. So I ran back to the school. Sent an email to say, I've missed my train, I'll be 1 hour late. Don't worry, just come when you come, blah, blah, blah. So I went, because I was 1 hour late, there were 2 people that were meant to interview me. Because I was 1 hour late, the other guy went for another meeting. So the person that I spoke with, who then eventually became my supervisor, we spoke, talked about my MATLAB skills and all that. And she said, you know what, I'm ready to take you for this PhD. So I said, within 15 minutes, I'm not sure we spent more than 15 minutes in that discussion. as we're leaving our office, the other guy came. I said, oh, this is the guy. Are you ready to interview him? He said, oh, have you taken him? He said, yeah. I said, well, if you've taken him, then there's nothing for me to ask him. And that's how I got that PhD opportunity. And the point I'm trying to make here is going back to what I said earlier on. I just believe in that the difference between the possible, the impossible, is time. And it is not that simple, I agree. It's not that simple. I'm not trying to make it simplistic. I'm just trying to say that let's keep pushing. Let's keep improving. Let's keep doing our best, like everybody here has said. But know that, I like the threshold point that you just said. Know that your time will come. Your time will come. And all these things, we are all sharing these stories now. I'm sure when we were going through it, we will probably be sitting down here like you and listening to other people. When we were going through it, it was difficult. So I'm not saying it was that easy that, oh, I wasn't worried. Yeah, I was worried. In fact, I remember when I finished my master, I was already writing to my lecturers in Nigeria that I'm coming back home. People will look for a job for me. I'll come and teach. I'll come and teach at the university and all that. But the thing is, so I know it's not that easy, but note it at the back of your mind that all these things will become stories eventually. That's the way, that's the same thing. So now, it helps me sometimes, with Tattle, we're trying to organize an event, everybody's telling us no, oh, you can't use this. When they tell me no, I say, okay, no problem, it's just that you people, it's not your, you have missed the opportunity. I go to the next person. Tell me no, you have missed the opportunity. I go to until I get somebody that tells me yes. And then I say, okay, yeah, maybe this is the place where I'm meant to do this. And I stick to it. And the same encouragement. In terms of imposter syndrome, well, that's happened to me a lot of times. I've been in rooms where I'm thinking, even here, sitting down here with all these big men around me here, yeah, I've been in rooms where I'm thinking, what am I doing here? You know, you made a statement, and that was when you sent me the questions. Last night, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. Nobody will hire you for charity. They've hired you because they believe you know what you're doing. So you have skills. So that's why they've hired you. You know, they're paying you a lot of money not because, oh, I like this person, let me pay them. No. So go there and show the stuff that you're made of. And that's the same. Yeah, I've faced it. Sometimes I'm thinking, why am I here? How did I get here? All these people that are talking. Yeah, I don't know how to put it. And I still face it even till today. But I've learned over time that same statement that they've hired me to come and do something. They've hired me to come and deliver a skill. And they believe that I have that skill. So if they believe it, then I need to first believe in myself also that I have that skill, and that's the way it is. Imposter syndrome will always happen, well, with with some people or with many people. But just know that if you are there for a reason, if they've hired you, then it's because they believe that you can do it, and that means that we also need to believe in ourselves. That's key. It's very key for us to believe in ourselves. Network. Community is key. Community is key. Honestly, I can't overemphasize that. In this room, if we sit down here, spend the next maybe 1 hour, I'm sure every single person, if we list out what we need, if I list out what I need at this moment, I'm sure I'll find at least 1 or 2 people in this room that can give me what I need. I'm sure of that. And the same thing it is with each and every one of us. And that's why community is key. One thing I don't like, I'm sorry I have to say this, please, before I hand over the mic, is sometimes I found out that, well, I hope that things have changed now. But when I came to do my master's, I didn't understand why, as Nigerians, everybody wants to be on their own. I don't understand. I didn't understand it. And then I'll look at other, without mentioning names, I look at other, they are working in groups, and they are studying together, they are doing well. I came out of an exam hall. Once in Sheffield during my master's. And I was talking to a friend, he's Indian, and he was like, oh, all the questions they studied came out. I was like, what do you mean? So apparently, because they had a friend who had finished the year before, yeah, so he had told them, oh, this lecturer always repeats his questions. So because of that, they had studied all the past questions. And exactly the lecturer, I didn't have that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I had some Nigerians in my group. Come on, guys. So I don't understand why. And the same thing, we carry the same thing to workplace. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Because somebody said something to me. I like when he said, unfortunately, sometimes he finds himself as the only black person. It's unfortunate. when someone said to me, if you find yourself as the only black person in a room, don't be too happy about it until you extend your hand to bring somebody else into that room. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I'm going to say, and I say it boldly, I know here, there's still divide and conquer. And unless you are there with somebody who can work with you, who thinks, why are we ashamed of each other? Yeah? Who can work with, who can think. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a politics thing or whatever, no. I'm just saying somebody who can think the way, when you make mistakes, there are mistakes I've made at work. Yeah? And I've made it not because I was not good at my work, but it's just because I was not thinking the way a Nigerian would think, basically. So they didn't understand me thinking in that way, which is not their fault, but it's also not my fault. Do you understand? But if I had a fellow Nigerian there who would there be to correct me, to say, hey, don't do that here. This is how you should do it. Yeah, it would have made, and that's why I try to do where I work now. Whether it doesn't even know, as long as they're African, and we sit down together and say, that's not how you should do this. Do it this way. This is how it should be done here. And the same thing I do with the students that I mentor, and say, immediately they come here. It's simple things from your CV. I helped someone with the CV the other day, and she said, since I helped her, she has been getting interviews. Said she has been applying for months before then. She was not getting interviews, but just one tweak or the other. And that's where community helps. And that's how community, and I want to encourage your space. If there's anything we get out of all these wonderful guys that we have here, and all the guys that we're meeting later on, and all the wonderful people sitting down here, is let's form that community. It makes life so easy.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please go ahead, Shubomi.
For me, they are both late now anyway. I live with my grandma, and I remember I started hawking when I was in primary 3. I hawk up to the period that I gained admission to Yaba College of Technology. I think a week after I gained admission to Yaba College of Technology, I went to meet my grandma, like, Grandma, I'm done. She was like, okay, no, I'm not saying this to say she didn't do a lot for me. To be very honest, I gained a lot. In fact, the doggedness and the resilience that I have, I wouldn't have had that if I didn't go through that. I learned so much from her. The financial management that I was able to learn, I learned it through the process. I can remember then, when I go to hawk kerosene, I hawk kerosene after I return from school. I hawk kerosene weekday. On weekends, I hawk pap. So when I go to hawk, I have different customers. I go to them. I've dropped kerosene for you. You know, when you have suppliers when you have customers and they told you, supply kerosene, and after doing all your supplies, you go to them, they tell you, look, mi ò rà mọ́ o, mo ti ní another customer, like I'm not buying again. I got another customer that is ready to give me discounts. I was unable to do that because you have a price mark that you must sell. You know, all of those things are something that build me up. Rejection is a lot of things that I remember when I was in secondary school, I used to hawk kerosene, like drop my kerosene in my school, like beside one corner in my school. There is this teacher that used to see me, like, when I was in school, I was really a brilliant student. Like, I know that for myself. So when the teacher, there was a day she saw me, she was like, I'm on kerosene. You know, she's in school. I was like, I'm a student.
I'm a student, okay?
I'm a student here. You can't be, you know, there is limits to what you can actually say. And there was one competition that we had Then she saw me. I think she saw my name on the list. She now saw me that day. She said, Omoni kerosene koile. Kilele mo. You know, the person that introduced me to the competition has had opportunity to interact with me, and it gave me such an opportunity. So when she said Omoni kerosene kilele mo, I was like, why is it that this woman is just picking on me? She just don't like me. So the man now said, okay, let's do a shortlisting process. Out of the 6 guys that we have, let's give them opportunity. At least we are looking for the best 2. And they give us an opportunity. Despite the fact that I would go and hawk kerosene when I return from, I was still the best. So one thing that has helped me is the fact that through all of the things I went through, I didn't allow those things to bring me down. It can be very depressing when you are putting so much effort and some people is just somewhere picking on you, making you feel less of yourself, like you're not good enough. It can be really bad. One thing I would always say to people is through persistence and a strong will, you can always conquer any adversity. A lot of difficulties will come through right in your face, and when you are persistent with what you're doing, there is actually a lot you can achieve. This is me here today. There is no qualification you can mention in this construction industry pertaining to quantity surveying that I've not had. RICS is the biggest qualification. I've had it. You know, I did my degree in quantity surveying. I had my HND in quantity surveying. I had my NIQS, registered QS in Nigeria. All of those things, I had faced a lot of rejection. When I finished my bachelor, at some point, I looked at myself because I lost my mom when I was about completing my HND. When I lost her, because she had already promised me them before then that at some point, she told me to go to US because her cousin's children went to the US. And I was with my grandma. I was still doing 1 or 2 things. I said, I'm still in school and I'm helping my grandma. Maybe when I'm done with my HND, I will go to US. I didn't know that she was going to die. So when she died, I was like, that was what came to my mind first. Like, what was all this? That I had plans. This woman had a lot of plans for me, and unfortunately, I couldn't achieve all of it. I couldn't get theirs at that time, but I didn't look less of myself. I was like, okay, with that, I can still persist. I remember when I finished my school, when I finished my HND, I applied for jobs. You know, when you print, I would have to, as at that time, I will print my CV, go to offices, quantity surveying offices in Lagos. I'll go and drop it there. They'll tell you, no, we are not looking for QS. And I was one of the best graduating students in my faculty. I will submit CV, they will reject it. I will submit CV, they will reject it. I'll be like, what is really going on? When I went for service, one day, you see, one thing anyone can tell you that I want you to embrace is never take prayer lightly. It works wonders. On that day, I looked at myself like, okay, after everything, what else? If I finish my service now, who else will I run to? I have nobody. I have nobody. No one to run to. I sat down that day. I just had it in my mind. One spirit just told me that, Shuwemi, why can't you just pray? Just maybe one day fast and pray. I picked my HND certificate that day, and that was all I had as at that time. I picked my statement of results. I picked it that day and I sat down. I prayed that I have faced a lot of rejections, that the ones I have faced in the past should be the end of it, that I don't want to face it any longer. After then, I did not, I can't remember if I applied for my first role in Crystal L'Oreal. I didn't remember. They just called me for an interview. And when they called me for an interview, they told me that the person that they needed for the role was someone with a 5 years working experience. I just finished from school. I didn't have any experience. So when I went there, I was like, okay. I met with one white man, Mr. Brian Greenaway. It was actually the one that gave me that platform. If I didn't meet that man, I don't know how I was going to survive. So the man asked me questions because I was actually preparing myself for the international market, not just local. He would ask me questions because he has done construction here. He understands the Nigerian style as well. If he asks me questions relating to the UK, I would answer him. If he asks me questions relating to the Nigerian market, I would answer him. So I think later he told me that he had to convince other members in the panel that they should give me an opportunity, that truly I don't have the experience, but I have the potential. They should just give me an opportunity. And that was the saving grace I had. They gave me the opportunity. I started working with them. After working with them, I had opportunity to meet with the man. He has instilled a lot of confidence in me. That I would go for bidding meetings with the likes of Dangote on seats at that young age. Engineer Didi Olufalobi, who happened to be the MD of Crystal L'Oreal, will be on seat. The former governor of Ogun State, Benga Daniel, will be on seat. He's the owner of the Crystal L'Oreal. Be on seat. Be like, those things. As at that time, I'll be like, how did I get here? How? Without any support system. So at some point, I needed to expand my tentacle. I remember that there was a book that I read that actually gave me an insight regarding mentorship. Rejection continues. I will meet with people, send them message, they'll tell me I don't have time to mentor you. I don't have time to mentor you. I don't have time to mentor you. I will meet. There was someone I met. He was doing his master's in Cyprus. When I sent him a message at that time, told him, okay. I told him that I've actually had opportunity to chat with different people. They've told me they don't have time. That if you say the same thing, I will not die. So he told me, based on what you have explained, no problem. I'll give you such an opportunity. But one thing that I noticed is many people usually ignore because they feel the people that are asking for mentorship are asking for different things. There are many people who are asking me for mentorship that after 2 days, they are telling me, come and give me money, or come and borrow me one money. I don't have money. I can give you knowledge, but I don't have money, So when he told me, he tested me a lot, and I never asked him for money. When I go to him, I go with my diary. He has a lot of things to share that would transfer. I'm this kind of person that I have had opportunity to, when I was in Nigeria, I had a lot of opportunity to sit where there is money. Like, I work with the biggest QSR business in Africa. I have a finance director here. She's seated here. She's the one there.
Wow.
I work with It and Go Africa. You are working on projects running in millions of dollars. And this is one small boy with nobody, no support system, but God running all the show, So at some point, when I was planning to leave Nigeria, coming to the UK, I met different people to ask for knowledge, like ideas. Maybe if I had met my guy, it would have been very fast. Maybe it would have been, or maybe if I meet SK, Abiolo, it would have been very fast because they used to share a lot of ideas and things like that. So I'll meet people, they'll tell you, no, don't come, UK. UK is a built environment already. The environment is well structured and things like that. What are you going to do there? You're a QS. Be like, me too, I'll just look at it like, Nigeria, I think Nigeria needs me more. I'm a QS in Nigeria. This environment, there is so much that we have not built and things like that. So one day I just sat down like, okay, let me do a little bit of research. I was like, okay, UK is actually a big economy in terms of development, over $400 billion economy for construction industry. So I did a little bit of research. I realized that there's so much that I can actually do here. And I realized that there's a lot of potential for QSs. So when I got here, the first interview I did was my RICS. I failed. When I failed, I was like, I don't used to fail exam.
How did this happen?
How did this happen? Interview. I was like, I don't, bro, you know, they will drill you. They will ask you questions that you too, you will, after answering, you will know that, yes, I have messed up. I have met, my guy will have gone through it, so you understand what I'm saying? Be like, I have messed up. So, aside from that, I didn't allow that to weigh me down. I remember when I was doing my master's, I had it at the back of my mind that I wanted to combine a lot of things together. It was very hard, very difficult, but I achieved a lot. As at that time, I had a plan that I wanted to complete my master's the same year. I wanted to get a job the same year. I wanted to do my RICS in 2021, 2022. In 2022, I wanted to achieve my CIOB in 2022. I wanted to get my driving license that same 2022. When I told my friends, they were like, I'd be like, me too, I will sit down and look at it like, how I want to achieve this thing, sef? Me say, don't be say this thing where they ask for, you don't too much. I'll be like, I'm a Nigerian. I have done a lot of things that I didn't even believe I was going to achieve. So I started the process. I was doing my master's. When I was doing my master's, the first interview I did, which was RICS, I failed. You had opportunity, if you feel like that, you have opportunity to do the retake within 6 months or 9 months. So after I failed, I cried for a bit of time. You know, I have a wife that pats me at the back like, don't worry, go for it again. So I was doing my master's, preparing for my CIOB, preparing for RICS. To the glory of God, I completed my master's in September 2022. I had my RICS in 2022. I had my CIOB in 2022. I got a job in September. Like September 2022 was powerful for me. So everything the only thing that I didn't achieve, which I failed many times, was driving. Bro, that won't run me mad. You know, I did my driving test 4 times. I passed the 5th time.
I think Michael Gove did it like 9 times.
4 times. I passed the 5th time. So rejection is a normal thing. Applying for jobs too, a lot of rejections. But one strategy that actually helped me is the fact that I already knew that, okay, I want to work with a consultancy organization because the end goal for me is actually to build a consulting firm. I want to learn through the process. So I started applying. I will go to their website. I didn't apply through agents because I realized that a lot of agents, when they bring in offers to the company, the company find it very difficult to maybe bring people on board due to the fact that they are asking for a lot of commission. So the strategy I devised at that time was applying directly to those organizations. I will go in to their website, go to their career page, pick their phone numbers, email, apply to jobs, give them a call. You know, they will tell you, okay, they want to have a telephone conversation with you. And from there, regarding imposter syndrome, you know, the experience I've had in the past has actually prepared me. When I first had my employment, I was of the, because things was so different from what I was doing in Nigeria, you know. A lot of things were different to an extent that I had to call one of my senior colleagues that, me, I don't understand everything they have for this industry. QS, everything was divided. You know, in Nigeria, you do a lot of things as a QS. You are a QS on building projects, a QS on civil engineering project. It's not like that here. So when they put me on some jobs when I first got in, I had the self-doubt, like, can I fit into this? Is this thing something that I can really do? But with time, you know, time reveal your true nature. And if you are persistent with things, you can actually conquer a lot. So one thing I would always tell people is, you see, challenges would come. There is no success that you want to achieve in this life that will not come with its own challenges. It would always be there. And success is not given. You grab it yourself. You run after it to make sure that you achieve it. I have had a lot of success stories through myself, and I have had opportunity to also mentor people to achieve success, which is good for me. I don't want to see myself being the only one winning. I want to see myself doing well and also seeing people that I've mentored doing well. Why? Since I've been here, I have two people, I have introduced about two different guys into my organization. They are working in different branches that I'm working. And also, I have had opportunity to mentor lots of people in QS regarding the RICS chartership. And like out of 5 candidates, 4 of them have passed. For CIOB, out of 7 candidates, 6 of them have passed. So that's a big joy for me. I like seeing people do well. So that is the brief I can give for now.
Thank you so much. Shubomi took us to church there. He really delved. Okay. So thank you so much for that deep knowledge and understanding that you've given us in terms of your journey. And I'm sure, has it been worth it? So we'll give the audience the chance to, 2 questions from the audience, 1 from online. We need to get through this very quickly because we are way out of time. I've told Greenwich that we'll run over a little bit. I think they are fine, but we still want to keep it well because they will serve lunch, whatever they are serving us. It's not jollof rice. So they are going to serve us lunch at a particular time. So I want us to get through the second panel as quickly as possible, and then we'll be here. I mean, they are here for as long as they can, and we just want to learn from each other, build that community, and take a lot of things away. So questions, just 2 questions from the audience. Please keep it as brief as possible. 1 from online, and we will have as much opportunities as possible to talk to each other. Please, speak up, please.
Okay. I'm Simeon by name. Please, as an international student, how can I start applying for job, whereas my limitation to work is still 20 hours per week?
Okay.
Yes. When did you start? September, October intake. Yeah. Because you said that, yeah, master, because you said that we should start applying now. But you as a panel is recruiting, seeing my BRP, indicating 20 hours per week, is a no for you already?
Do you want me to answer or do you want to take the question first?
Okay, take two questions first. Okay. Thanks for that question. Yeah, I think. Who else? One more. Okay, yeah, Mr. Sonia.
Okay, my name is Sonia. Thank you for all that you've said today. Mine is a comment really, and I just want to disabuse our mind that, yeah, maybe it existed before, but things are changing for the better. What I mean by that is when we say Nigerians don't help one another, or we keep to ourselves and all that. So openly, right here, I've never met, well, I've met him now, but in the past, I didn't know Oluomo. I simply went to his DM in Twitter. Later on, we met at Birmingham, and I want to openly appreciate him. I don't know where he's seated now, for what he's done. Likewise,
Who is there?
likewise, last year I had Twitter Spaces. I didn't know Toyyib. Prior to that, before then, I'd been interacting with him on Twitter, and when I finally moved here, I got across to him. And, what I was expecting is that, oh, I'm an influencer, you have to drop, So, but he gladly accepted, and that Twitter space, we had over 2,000 people in attendance. So I'm saying this to say that, please, yeah, we had that challenges in the past, but things are changing for the better. NIUK, WhatsApp, you see people dropping in questions almost per second billing. And those questions are being answered by whom they've never met, and they are getting results. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You want to second the...
I want to support what he has just said. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Yetunde. Okay, I think that based on what he has just said, I think Oluomo and the like of Mr. Toyyib is the one changing the narratives.
I think we all are, to be fair.
I don't know, but that's the example I have. I was still discussing with Oluomo the last time that I don't know if I'm allowed to call names, but in my institution, I found out that Indians are more one than Nigerians. Very ready to help. Whenever there is assessment, they are always together. They want to think alike. They want to work it out. But we Nigerians are like, I've not started. I'm still working on it. And the deadline, you will see them submit. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
To be here. My name is Grace. All right, my question is, as an international student also, how do you apply for jobs whereby there are some certifications that is being required for that job specification, and I don't have that certification? For instance, I'm into project management. How do I apply for jobs that has Prince 2, that has Primavera, and all the likes? And I don't have the experience. So how can I use my other skills? How can I relate it kind of to show that, okay, though I don't have this experience, but I don't have this certificate, but I have this experience. So how do I juxtapose all together?
Thank you so much.
Let me quickly, again, we try to use caveats a lot. Your job application process actually starts as an international student with you having a mentor. Yeah? And let me just re-echo this. It's not the submission. You see, there's the preparation and there's the actualization. Yeah? Because I hear this a lot from international students. There is no gain in you taking your CV and just throwing it out. It has to be, I keep using the word fitness for purpose. And as an international student, you can even start applying for jobs. You see, in this day and age where you can sit in Muchi, and you are interacting with Doc in New York, or Omorodion in Benin, your interview process starts there, right? That's where it starts from. And regarding this issue of Nigerians helping themselves, I think, yes, the narrative is changing, and I must really give it to the NIUK. I know to an extent how some of these conversations directly or indirectly started. I know some of the challenges you've had. But what I'm very more happy about is that you've sustained the growth. Nobody can take that away. And I think that is the biggest success of the NIUK. But this is not a day for the NIUK. This is a day to celebrate Toyyib, right? This is a day to celebrate Toyyib, yeah. So have a mentor, belong to communities. And I keep liking my experience. There was no Twitter. I've never been on Facebook because there's a lady who bears my name. So anytime people go and look for me and they call my wife and say they saw a lady with your husband's page, she will say, my husband doesn't have Facebook. So those days, we move around construction sites where we see a black man, we approach. Why do we drag ourselves? Why do we make up stories that are not even genuine or true about ourselves? Because we just have little sentimental disagreements. I mean, if we kill ourselves, who then builds for us? You know, when Zacchaeus met Jesus, if the tree was not there for him to climb, he's a short man and he came late. There is nothing Jesus could have done. So keep the tree so that Zacchaeus can climb. Thank you.
I think it was Isaac Newton that said, I've reached where I am because I have climbed on his shoulders of giants. And it's, just a caveat, before I answer your question, what I said earlier on, when I said, if you are somewhere, try and bring people up also. On the other way around also, if I'm someone that someone has helped to get there, don't abuse that opportunity. And I think I've heard many stories where one person has helped the other, and you've just gotten there, and you've just messed up that person's name, that person's integrity, and all that. So please, I'm sure we are not like that, but I'm just saying it in general. To answer your question, he said it starts with the mentor. When you get, every year, for us, for those that come to, I live in Loughborough, so for those that come to Loughborough every year, and I've been doing this for more than 5 years now, we organize a welcome to Loughborough event. And one of the things I tell the international students that come, especially the master students then, is the first thing, the moment you are landed. See, organizations that want to get in, especially if you're going for a graduate role, they want to get people in September 2025. They're already starting September 2024. So you're almost like 1 month. If you come in October, you're almost like 1 month late. So I say start immediately. I'll come to the 20 hours issue in a minute. So you can see that you're not applying for roles for December you're applying for roles for September 2025. Our mentality is to wait till July 2025 before we start, because, let me finish my master's first. That's number one. But secondly also, other things you can do to begin to prepare yourself for that. That's why I said, the reason why I said you should start applying at that point is to prepare yourself for that. You get some rejections, because we're talking about rejections at that time. You get some rejection, but that will help you to improve, to know where your shortcomings are. Do you need to do a certification, like you said? Do you need to go for more training? If you're do you need to learn Python or R or something? Is this where my shortcomings are before? Do you understand what I mean? So you are building yourself up you get from those feedback. But also, there's something that we don't do here. I hope we're doing it now, but there's something I encourage us to do also, is volunteering. Many of us encourage us, try and volunteer. Some people don't, whether it's a local mosque, local church, or whatever it is, local charities around, go and volunteer with your skill. A project, you're an admin person, for example, your mosque or your church or whatever would need an admin person, or your community center, go there, they need volunteers. Volunteer your time. When you write it on your CV, nobody knows whether it's a volunteer role. Because what you write on your CV is you worked admin there, you did this, you did this. You're already building up your UK experience, isn't it? You're already and the truth is, he has mentioned it, thank God he mentioned, and I'm sure many of us know, working in Nigeria can be very different from working here. So you'd really understand why people are looking for people who have UK experience. It's so that, again, when you start working, even if it's in a volunteering, you know how people work, you know how you should talk to people, how what the right things to say at the right time, and so on. So volunteering is very key. So in that, I don't think volunteering counts even as part of your 20 hours. So volunteering is key. And interestingly, also another thing you could do is call up organizations, especially your local SMEs. I was just telling some students back where in my community recently. They're studying, I think, social media and marketing or something. I said, look, go around the town, talk to the SMEs or the small businesses there, the local African shop, the local bookshop or whatever, or libraries, and say, look, I'm studying media and whatever, at Loughborough University. Can I come and work with you guys? I'll do your social media, I'll do your whatever. I'm gaining experience while I'm working on it. And don't worry about paying me. I'm doing it for you, I'm gaining experience, you are gaining my skills, and I'm also learning. So it's a win-win situation for both sides. But you see, when you write that on your CV, that, oh, I did marketing for these guys, or I did media for these guys, I did it for 3 months, nobody knows whether you're doing it as a volunteering role or whatever, or I did project management, I might help them to manage their project, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand what I mean? So you are using that, you are building your skills, you are learning. Also, you are learning from those opportunities also. So there are so many ways that you can you can give your time, you can give that would help you to boost your CV, even as you are going. It says something very important, don't lie on your CV. Do you understand? But these things help you not to lie on your CV, because you're actually then gaining that work experience. And there's so many opportunities to gain that work experience. So I'm not saying go and work beyond your 20 hours. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are other ways that you can use in building those skills. Finally, because I know the time, I don't know how many of us have heard of 10,000 black interns. Have we heard of it? If you're a student here, I think they'll start they help with getting, especially with black, those of us that are from our community, we're getting internship roles in various organizations in the UK. I have seen so many people within our community who have gotten internship roles, and after those internships, they've been retained in that organization. So all these things are available. All these things and all this information are also they're also available. So if you go on the, I don't know the website, but if you Google 10,000 black interns.
10,000, that 10,000 is actually the numbers.
The number, that's 10,000, then black interns.
So 4 zeros and then black interns.
Yeah. There's also social circles.
Yeah.
Social circles, I think. Yeah, social circles. Yes. Yeah. They also help international. There's also Tattle, if I can put that plug in.
Tattle as well.
Tattle, Tattel. So there are so many those opportunities there. In my place, I was going to say constituency. In my community, one thing with our relationship with our local MP, one day I was just talking to her, and she said, hey, you know what? I can get, if you know anyone that wants to come and do internship at my place, even if it's 1 or 2 days, why not? And since then, we've gotten about 4 or 5 people studying different courses to go and do placement at their local, at their office. And those are the kind of things, opportunities that are there that we may not know unless we actually go out to ask. So I want to encourage us as international students. We already have a disadvantage in quotes, but we also have advantage in terms of where we are coming from, our background, our stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that question. Just one question I want to take from online. I think we take one from Success Nuruddin Adedeji. He said he's stuck in the universe. He's got OND, HND, MSc Mechanical Engineering. He's also a software engineer and a data analyst, but he's not getting any job offers. But we don't know where success is to start with. Success is in the universe. Okay.
I think that's one of the challenges. I'll let you talk. I'll just be very sure. I don't know his story. I don't know his background, so I'm just speaking generally now. And I'm sure Sadiq will give us more insights at his talk. But one of the things I found out, especially those that want to go into AI, data science, is we heard data science is going. Let me go and do. And then there's a lot of, you don't even know where to start from. You don't know it's always good to have a focus. It's always good to have a focus and be very good a lot of speakers, our panelists have said it, to be very good at it. Have a mentor, like you said, somebody that will guide you and say, okay, start here, start here, start here, rather than do what everybody else is doing. I'll just shut.
No, no, it's not. That's fine.
Yeah, let me also add. So, people said, okay, you applied to 700 roles. What was the final breakthrough? Was a face-to-face interaction. So, don't underestimate the power of meeting people one-on-one, flesh and blood, right? Because especially for the younger generations, you all grew up on social media and things like that, and you have too much faith on the internet, but a lot of transactions still take place. Because when you inhabit the same physical space as somebody, there is a kind of rapport that you build and a kind of trust that you quickly build that you won't build online, you know? So a friend invited me to a conference and I didn't want to go, but I said, it's free. They are going to, I was in school in Arkansas. They will pay me to go to San Francisco, and then they will give me a stipend. I was like, why not? What do I have to lose? What I didn't realize was it was a black conference. It was the National Association of Black Geophysicists and Geoscientists. I'm a chemical engineer, right? So I didn't even want to go, but hey, it's black. I'm going to meet other black folks, why not? When I got to the conference, there were more recruiters than us that attended. So they were like rushing us, like.
Now then they rush you.
in one conference, I got offer from Exxon, Shell, and BP. One conference. After 700. They're like, oh, what do you do? I tell them, they're like, you have a perfect GPA, yeah, and you don't have a job? I said, no. Like, are you sure village people are not how work, you know? So they were taking my CV. They were like, within a few months after that conference, I had more job offers than I know how to deal with it, you know. So I eventually picked the best out of, and it helped me also pick the best because I can say, like, do you want to pay me this much or should I go and meet the other guy?
Wow. Thank you.
I think we need to, sorry guys, we need to address his question. The boy in the universe who said he has OND.
He said it's in Cardiff.
He's in Cardiff.
Yes.
So he's already here.
Yes.
So type in MEICA, MICA, Mechanical, Electrical, Instrumentation, Control, and Automation. Because that's now the future of mechanical and electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Because everything you now see is automated.
Yeah.
And heavy instrumentalized. So that's why he should go there. He should go there and look for the UK companies. Type in maybe the 100 UK MICA companies in the UK.
Yes.
And like Subi said, I do not advise international students or young graduates to go through agencies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I have a budget, which is tight. And I don't have the luxury of paying below a standard. That is the basis of my budget. And I don't have allowance to pay a commission to an agent. So one thing I would advise the NIUK to take away from here, from Toyyib, who is one of your big anchor, is teaching people how to apply for jobs directly to organizations. Yeah. Right? Go into the webpage. You do them more good directly. So if I get a CV directly, I'm bubbling. Because we're also lazy and busy now. We rely on agencies. And who are the agencies? It's just, Subi is now tired of quantity surveying. He will just now sit down on his laptop and collecting CVs of quantity surveyors, right? And sending it to companies, and then collecting commission. That is all it does. That's what agencies are. So the agency sees you don't have interest, you don't have experience. He's not interested in you. And then that is where you are sending your CVs to.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Please tell that guy, the guy who asked the question, you can
Success.
contact me.
Okay.
I'll
Tell Success to reach out to Dr. Deji on LinkedIn or anywhere. You should just name Success from the universe, Dr. Deji. So I think we have overshot our time, but we say a big thank you to all our panelists. Like, we couldn't get them anything, but we had to just say thank you to them for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
These are very expensive people. How much do we pay them for 1 hour? You know, like, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll take like a 5-minute break. We'll move on to tech panel 1 straight away. And yeah, please, thank you very much. Thank you.